Hi, everybody. Welcome to the January 6th, 2025 Housing Partnership Meeting. The City of Northampton does not discriminate based on disability and is committed to hosting accessible meetings. If you wish to come to any of our meetings at any time, you can request a reasonable accommodation if you need to attend any city meeting, and you can contact the ADA coordinator at ADA coordinator at northamptonma.gov. Or you could call 413-587-1288. And so I'd like to make a notice that this meeting is being recorded, and I am going to take a roll call. Let's see, Richard Abuza.
Here.
Gordon Shaw.
Present.
Melissa Fowler.
Here.
Gwen Nabad. Here. And that gives us 4 for roll call. Thank you for coming. And I'd like to open this up if there's anybody from the public. If anybody has any public comments. Yes, Benjamin.
Hello. No, I'm just here to listen, but just figured I'd say hi. So
Thanks.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Hi, Benjamin. Happy New Year. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
Rachel?
Likewise, I'll follow that lead. My name is Rachel Belanger. I live on Wilson Ave, and this is the first meeting that I'm listening into and just interested in hearing more about what the Housing Partnership has been working on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Rachel. Okay, so there were a lot of minutes to review. So the goal is to approve our minutes from October, November, and December. Did anyone review these minutes? Or send any updates to Keith?
There are no updates or corrections from anyone.
We have 4 members. Do we have enough to approve the minutes? Is there quorum? I've lost track of how many we are these days. Okay, good.
Out of 7, yes.
Okay, good.
4 would be the quorum.
I didn't get a chance to review them. I don't generally go through them with a fine-tooth comb, but I'm happy to kick the can down the road if we want to do it next time. That gives us 4, but I'm really pressed today.
Okay. And is there anyone else that has anything to say about this?
Only that I wouldn't be able to comment on the December minutes because I wasn't present, so I wouldn't be able to. I can vote on the prior 2 months.
Okay.
So maybe that suggests December at least should be punted, but
right. Okay, so I guess my input on this is that I did send a tiny correction to Keith, but it was just like a little thing that wasn't of a lot of consequence. It was like not like necessarily substance, over it. It wasn't substantial. So maybe we could table the approval of these minutes to the February meeting 2025. And I'll take a roll call on that. So let's see. We will take a roll call on tabling October, November.
Gwen, is there a motion?
Yeah.
I'll move that we table the approval of the last 3 months of minutes till the next meeting, February.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to take a roll call. So Gordon Shaw?
Yep.
Richard Abuza?
Yes.
Melissa Fowler?
Yes.
Gwen Nabad? Yes. Okay. So the next item on our agenda is to discuss priorities for the Affordable Homes Act. Keith, do you have anything to put in on this, or or,
I mean, I think we discussed, what the, the question was, what does the city want to work on? I think the city's trying to do all the best it can at the local level. So I think what the housing partnership can do that's different is where, I think you guys should focus, I mean, city council does make pronouncements of things like that, but you guys are able to, talk to city council, give them your feedback. You can write letters of support, not just at the state level, but also, local level for, like the Housing Community Preservation Act, and then that letter for habitat at the state level. So, I think, and if there's anything that you guys want us to work on, some of this stuff has not been worked out yet, how the mechanics of it. So I think really I'm looking for guidance for you, but also where we can kind of mesh together. Not necessarily that we're going to dictate what you guys should be doing.
okay. One thing that I would really love, Keith, is to find a way to know, for example, where the ribbon cuttings are, or somehow like have like the letter that we've been working on for the letter for the Valley CDC mortgage that we all agreed to do, that has been approved already by the city council. But when I was watching, I was in the early part of that meeting, and then it was a very long meeting. I didn't realize it was on the agenda, so I left early. But had I known for sure that that was going to be there, how would I have known that, I guess, other than chasing down the agenda?
For city council, or
Yeah, there was so the mortgage, the Valley CDC mortgage, that we were writing a letter for. Rachel Mayari called that into second, she put a second call on that to call it back for discussion. And what she wanted to know was, why doesn't the tax um discount come for a whole 15 years? What if somebody had to leave early or whatever? She had questions like that, but I think we had already posed those questions. But had I been there at the meeting, I might have been able to raise my hand as a member of the partnership and say, we did raise actually all these questions, and our conclusion was that it's more housing. It's within the scope of a program that the Valley CDC works with through the state. And so we were supporting this. So that's what I would have said had I known, um, you know, that was going to be going through so quickly. And I feel like I kind of failed a little bit, and I feel like I kind of dropped the ball on finishing that letter so that they could have it in time.
well, um, I mean, I think there's some practical things. One, you can subscribe to the newsletters and the agendas. I can forward that to you all how to do that. That just means you still have to open it up and read it. I
Okay,
do read them, and I can be better at, scouring that and seeing if there's housing related things. I
okay,
think, and think maybe just I have own bias too about if it's not necessarily low income housing, I may glance over that as it's not
okay,
germane to the housing partnership, but it is, and that's something that we discussed is not just low income housing. We're trying to look for that missing middle housing, the small A affordable housing.
sure.
But if I think of something more, I'll
Um, okay.
Just,
I
can
always
I
wanted,
give you an FYI on this one?
yes, yep,
The protocols of city council might be a little bit cumbersome for this. If you knew something was coming up, you could always speak in the public comment. But unless you're the official presenter, by and large, they don't take any comment from the public during the course of city council meetings. You would have
okay,
to have a counselor sort of say, I think they actually have to ask
yes,
permission to get you to speak to address the council.
yep,
So,
okay,
so
okay,
we'd
so,
have to be really on the radar about something likely we would want to speak and arrange in advance.
okay, great, that helps. I would say in general, I do like to know about all housing, just because, um, it's good to know all housing that's being built in the city. Um, and I do want to put out there, which they did put out at city meeting, and I just want to mention it, is that there's a lottery open for 23 Laurel Ave, I think it is, Ave or Street. I think it's Ave. So if people want to sign up for that lottery, I think it's like 1, 2, 3 bedrooms. Um, I know they have balconies and I drove by them last week, and they're progressing. So it's really exciting to see that happening in the city. Um, I guess like the way I feel is that it's all everything is a priority. All housing is a priority. Um, Anything that's going on with like any of the properties that we've all discussed, anything that's going on with ADUs. Um, I usually try to be on top of it, but yeah.
I want to raise my hand, but I forgot where the button is
Oh,
to raise my
okay,
hand.
Melissa, go ahead.
So we have a planning board meeting coming up this week, and there's no hearings on it, but so it's going to be a very short one. I'm not even going to be there. But I will pick up what I used to do, which is let you guys know every 2 weeks what's coming up for the planning board. So you don't
Okay,
have to sort of keep a track on those agendas. And what I used to do earlier last year was just kind of let you guys know if there's any housing that's coming before the planning
okay,
board.
great. Thank you so much, Melissa. And you're reminding me that you did send me an email about this. And I think I think I didn't even respond. I was still contemplating whether I should get that from you or not, but I think that would be very, very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's no problem at all. And not everything comes before us for sure.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff does come before us.
Sure.
And you can and as a partnership, have some input and weigh in on it openly. Unlike at the council meetings, we take public comment
Uh-huh.
openly.
Okay. Richard?
Yeah, I wanted to, sort of second the thread that you were talking about, Gwen, that, setting aside the balance between open space and housing development, any housing really helps the housing dynamics. More units, even the high-end McMansions, which I don't like, have a beneficial effect, because one of the biggest dumps of uh, housing availability was when the Lathrop communities were built and people who were staying in their single family homes but didn't really have a good place to transition to, all of a sudden had a place to transition, and there were single family homes on the market. And the high end ones help the tax base and the school funding, and the
Sure.
affordable ones. So
Right.
that's a point we can make when we do our public education, that
Okay.
every housing program even if it isn't specifically targeted to affordable, does address, and the more focus on housing, the better, because that's a critical issue. So,
Yeah, thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay.
Glenn, just to bring it back to the original agenda item is, I guess from the Affordable Homes Act, are there any things from that anyone wants to focus on as the partnership? Some of these things are still being worked out. I mean, some of them are just adding money to programs that already exist. But I mean, there's some really good ones in there. And if we can drill down into something like that, I mean, we're missing 3 members of the partnership right now.
Right.
The brain trust might be stronger next meeting or something.
Okay. So we can continue the discussion of these priorities, since it's in the here and now anyway, and in the current moment in our times right now, so we can continue this discussion to the next month, February. Do we have to take a motion on that or? No? Okay.
I don't think so. It's just an agenda item that we're working on.
Okay. Okay, so discussion on Northampton draft workforce housing special tax assessment district. Okay, what do we have here?
I didn't send anything beforehand. I think there was just some open questions you all had and some maybe points of consternation about our draft plan. And so I think Bev did a really good job of laying out some of the numbers with the AMI, 80%,
80 to
100%,
120.
120. And so just to go back, this plan, it's only for income levels between 80 and 120. And I think, there's obviously 80 to 120 is the range, but I think we really want to push for the 120%. And that's just because the developers at this income level don't have the financial other financial incentives that they would have if they were doing affordable housing. They can use mass housing, but they don't have to. Mass housing also does some of the multi-family borrowing.
Right.
So I think you guys wanted it at 100%. So we'd love to go ahead, Gwen.
Yeah, so when I was reading through this, like in the Affordable Homes Care Act, it actually specifies 60% rather than 80%. And so I think that's my little thing is like, I think, it should be 60%. It could be, it would go like 60% to, and, I mean, I'm still learning a lot about this, and I think Bev is like a mathematical Wonder Woman because she really does understand all the formulas here. But my instinct is, could there be one? Could there be, any at all? Not just none at 60%. And why couldn't, or shouldn't there be?
I mean, like I said, this does not prevent the developer from using other incentives or having other units at a different percentage. But if they wanted to do, all of their units at, 120% or something like that, this would allow that. And so there's not there's not language in this requiring them, not in our plan or the state regulation that says they have to include 60% or something like that. 80 would be the minimum if we were using that. But we just want to make sure that we're not adding things in there that are not from the statute on this.
Mhm.
If there's number questions about that, I'll just go into some of the other questions from the previous meeting that were
Okay,
discussed. So, we are pushing back a little bit, and we would love to have that 120. Just because it's, people that are making 150 or 200%, it can probably easily, afford some of that middle housing. And then the, 60% and below, there's other subsidies for them and for the developers to building that. And we have had, we have a lot of projects from the Valley CDC, right, and Habitat going through right now. So the numbers, I think, Bev, like I said, Bev did a great job of what those income levels are. But I went back and I also looked at what the developer would get, and I think it's a little more than we talked about in the meeting. There's on the document, potentially the first year, say $1 million. The example they gave is $1 million parcel. If you calculate that out, it's 100% of that could be up to $250,000 for the first year and the second year. And so it's actually a significant amount of money. Right now, costs for building one unit is like, $500,000, something like that. So I think the taxes we lose, we're gonna get that back starting in year 3. It's not 100% all the way through the 5 years. And then we're gonna get that tax revenue continuously, and we get housing. And hopefully those people wine and dine downtown. The
right.
more walking downtown, I've lived several downtown places, and
Sure.
being able to walk downtown and spend your money is much preferable over driving out somewhere.
Mhm.
And then I think there was another question too, if other developers, could they join afterwards? They can, the plan itself is for 5 years. So if year 3, a new developer wants to come in, they would only have 2 years. We would just need to approve it for to redo it, I guess. So we can always add developers later.
Okay.
And then and then just to reiterate, we are in conversation. Is this something that people would be interested in? There is some general interest, but we don't have anything that is fleshed out and ready to go with anyone. We want to kind of get the plan ready, and have a draft sent through city council, get their feedback. But I think it's a tool, and it's a very low barrier for us to do it. And so we just want to, work it so it is ready, and then when we have someone, we'll put a name on it, and then we'll go for approval.
I remember this from 2 months ago, and I kind of lost track of what the whole program is trying to do. But it's the whole point of it is to incentivize building affordable housing, and you're trying to a tax reduction that's gradually increases over the years that it goes online. Is that when it starts, from when the property is initially bought or development?
No, so it's the timer starts once the approval is signed, and it's the following July of that fiscal year or year. And so we're trying to and you have to have a developer by name
Yeah,
on the plan. And so it behooves us to have that person ready, and then sign it. And it's for what it's called workforce housing special tax assessment. So it's 480 to 120%, but you have to do, part of the plan is to define what the city's AMI would be.
okay. But ultimately, it is new tax revenue. It's just sort of delaying some of the realizing the full benefit of the
Correct.
tax base. So
Yes.
it's creating a
And
little window to give people time. Yeah.
right. And
Mm.
when a developer has a piece of property under construction, they're not getting any income from it.
Mhm. Yeah.
So this is a nice little incentive.
And the
Okay, I want to,
120 ceiling is just feels like it'll be more attractive to developers to have that as the cutoff, as opposed to something lower.
right.
Right.
I want to acknowledge a hello to Hannah, who came in at 5:58.
Keith, is there something that Gwen, is there something that we need to do formally as part of this, or is this really just having us be informed and then, giving feedback if we have it, but not, there's nothing formal that we need to take.
I think once I get all this in a document that looks good, I would send it to you guys at another, follow-up meeting for approval. We
Okay.
do want to go to city council with this draft, with the expectation that there's not a developer on it. But once we do, we'll come back to them for approval. So kind of, we want to flesh out some of this stuff before we go to city council. They're gonna have their own comments, things like that. Yeah, but I think, well, Hannah joined us, so I think we're missing two, but I think, sort of the partnership, I think you all probably want to see the final document, so, I
Sure.
think at this meeting, there doesn't need to be, a formal vote.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any more feedback on that? No. Okay, so I guess the next agenda item is if there's any business not anticipated, is there anything anybody has to bring up? Or wants to mention or talk about before we head out? Hannah?
I could just mention really quickly that I haven't had a chance yet to reach out to some of the other places, like cities that are working on the broker fee home rule petition, but that's kind of my next step. And still a little bit unclear about what happens in terms of getting the legislation reintroduced locally. I had reached out to Lindsay Sabadosa, and all I know is that it has to be reintroduced. I don't know if it can be reintroduced like with the same language. Does it have to go through city council again? So uh, I could either use some guidance there, or my plan is just to reach out to like the organizers in Somerville and Cambridge and some of these other places to see what is
Okay.
happening for them.
Okay. Thank you. Um, yeah, it's like starting all over again. So, um, it's hard to know really where to go. I mean, there's probably a group somewhere that is still interested in this happening. I'm
Does,
not sure who that would be.
sorry, Gwen.
That's
Um,
okay.
Does anybody here who's like has more tenure on the partnership know the answer to just kind of what it looks like? I'm unclear about sort of at what point in the process it has to start over again, given that like we did draft the language. Does anybody know? No? Okay. I'll just start to ask then and see if I can get a sense.
I'm not exactly sure.
Are you asking if the first step is city council has to first, like they did a resolution way back,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the state legislators took it from there.
Yeah.
Right.
But the bill itself, I don't know who filed the bill itself that didn't make it, but there was a series that it had support from Eastern Mass, but it obviously didn't pass. And is the
Yeah.
governor opposed to this? I don't remember. Did she not want it? Is that why it sank, or was it the leadership in the Senate?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know.
Because there was a lot of opposition to it.
There was a lot of opposition to it. Yeah. And I'd love to know like where I could find those numbers. You know, so yeah.
And Hannah, good to know you're in touch with the people at Eastern Mass, because from time to time I do see communications about this through my work-related listservs about efforts in like in Boston and those bigger communities that have
Um,
similar issues.
yeah. So I'll plan then maybe next month to try to give a bigger update about it and let everybody know what those communications were like.
Mhm.
Thanks.
And I guess I'll just return back to how this meeting started, which is Edgardo has stepped down as of last month from the Northampton Housing Authority Board of Commissioners, because he had been the Northampton Housing Partnership liaison. So I don't know if we could work on making I, I, this came up at the very end of my meeting with the mayor, so I don't know if it's like how it happened with Edgardo because it was before my time, how Edgardo came to be on the board as the partnership person, and should we be um hoping that somebody can maybe step up and serve on that as a member of the Board of Commissioners as the NHP person. Also, we do have a couple of people coming our way. And I know there's been 2 people approved to come and serve at our meetings, and I don't know if I'm the one that should be doing the reach out or if they should just be coming or how that works.
You mean they put in their application and they're just
Yep, they
waiting to be approved? Okay,
no, they've been
great.
approved. Yep,
Okay.
they've been approved. So maybe they
Usually
just need to take,
the mayor's office communicates with me.
what is that?
Usually the mayor's office or city clerk communicates with me with them.
About new appointments?
Correct.
Okay. Have you heard anything, Keith?
I have not, but I'll double check.
Okay,
Great.
all right.
Hopefully they'll join us for
Richard?
February.
Right, maybe they can join us for February. Richard,
Yeah, I think I remember the sequence about Edgardo and the housing the Northampton Housing Authority. He was a member of the partnership, but he had been very interested in being appointed on the Housing Authority and once he became a member of the Housing Authority, he was sort of automatically a liaison because he was serving on both. I think the protocol would
okay,
be, I don't know if anybody's been appointed to fill his slot. I assume they would do that at some point. But I think what would probably be appropriate is for you as chair to sort of see at the members and see if there's anybody likely and ask them if they would be interested in serving on the board, on our board, and then we would have a liaison. Because the other way to do it, the other way would be to have somebody here put in their request to be a member of the Northampton Housing Authority, but I think they're an independent agency. I don't think they're appointed Keith, do you know they're not appointed by the city council? Is that correct?
I believe that's
They
correct.
are.
It-
No,
It's the mayor. I think there's certain
Yeah.
spots, I think the governor might have a role, but the mayor,
Yeah, it's
there's
something
certain
different
seats.
than the protocol for us, I believe, but I'm not sure.
right.
So
So,
that would take some digging in, but it's worthwhile having a liaison if we can do it. It's been very seldom that we've had one over the course of the past 30 years.
right. So, from what I understand, with all housing authorities across the state, it would be the selectman, the town manager, or it would be the mayor who would find somebody to appoint. They, they make a referral, maybe there are some interviews involved, and then it would go to city services. And then, or maybe they would interview people, so she would pick somebody and make a referral. Um, so thank you for that information, Richard. And I'm not really sure, but right now tonight, it seems like we're low on, we have a low number of members here tonight, so, and this is not on the agenda anyway, but I just wanted to open that up for discussion. And maybe we can put that on for next month. If we could, Keith. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, so I guess we just need a final motion.
I move to adjourn.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. We will do a roll call. Melissa Fowler,
Yes.
Hannah Schaefer,
Yes.
Gordon Shaw,
Yes.
Richard Abuza.
Yes, and my best wishes to everybody in the new year.
Thank
Thank you.
you. And Gwen Nevad, yes. Okay, everybody, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And if you celebrate the Lunar New Year, we're coming into the year of the snake
All
on
right.
January 10th, 29, so we'll have to all shed our skin.
How
Yeah.
apt.
I like that.
Okay, thank you all. Have a good
All
night.
right. Night.
Bye-bye.